podcast. Welcome again to the podcast, I would say, Revenue Checkpoint, where we discuss how to rescue revenue. Andrew, CFOs are constantly juggling competing priorities. Cost reduction, compliance deadlines, digital transformation, now AI transformation. When you tell a CFO they might have 3 to 4% leakage issue, how do you help CFOs reframe revenue leakage from just being yet another project to something that actually helps solve their other priorities?
Well, the first thing is, if you put it in the context of what could an additional, just say 1 to 2% of revenue improvement, either off the top line or let's say 500 bips to the bottom line, what does that translate into in terms of valuation for the business? And in today's markets, where eking out incremental growth is so hard, it's expensive, and it's very tough in today's competitive markets. So here's an opportunity to add to both the top and the bottom line without having to push sales harder, without having to hope that product can come up with new services on time, on budget. And it's an opportunity for the finance team to make a material difference to the business.
There's more to it once they start. There's a cultural challenge you have probably seen. When someone discovers potential revenue leakage, they're often viewed as a bad messenger rather than being a hero. Teams get defensive. People worry about blame. At the same time, finance teams are already stretched thin and may see this as auditing their own work. How do elite CFOs create a culture where finding leakage is celebrated and get their team excited about revenue assurance rather than being seen as a criticism?
So I think you need to reframe the topic. And the reframing is, how can you focus on, and what are the opportunities around focusing on process improvement? And so in most finance organizations, there's a constant focus on trying to reduce the days to close, right? To provide more timely, more accurate updates to the financials. So that has a positive impact on the business. It frees up time for the finance team to do more analysis and to be more of a business advisor. Similarly, when you frame it as an opportunity to add to the top line, to improve the bottom line, and to do it as a continuous process, it really begins to be thought of as a best practice, right? As an opportunity for continuous improvement, just as you're continually trying to improve or shorten your days to close.
Definitely. Once they start seeing this as a mission that aligns to their growth as well, they will definitely change the mindset.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And if you think about most organizations, if you go in and say, hey, we can cut the number of days in the sales cycle, every head of sales is looking to do that. Every CEO is looking to do that. And typically when you go through this exercise, which is not a one-time exercise, but a continuous process, really, if you think about it as a filtration system on your quote to cash systems, right, to identify revenue leakage and plug the gaps, it's not a one-time exercise, it's a continuous exercise. And so usually out of that exercise comes a shorter sales cycle because you've got faster processing, between quoting, contracting, and billing collections, right? So there are these side benefits that come out. So it's not just a pure finance exercise, even though a lot of the benefit accrues to finance.
Changing from internal teams to a little bit about the board, CFOs tell us they feel caught between the board asking, are you sure our revenue numbers are accurate? and not wanting to open the Pandora's box. Many also worry that looking for revenue leakage will uncover issues that trigger audit concerns. What's your advice for how a CFO should frame a revenue assurance initiative to the board, especially when they are not sure what they will find? When is it actually riskier not to look?
So that's a good question, and finance leaders, rightly so, tend to be very conservative by nature, which is exactly what you want in the finance and accounting function. Completely understandable and legitimate concern. Again, I think it comes back to, if you look at it as continuous improvement, is there a potential that maybe there's even more revenue leakage than you think? If you flip it around and say, instead of delivering a 1% increase in sales, I can deliver a 3 or 4% increase. What CEO, what board is not going to want to see that kind of improvement on their top line, right? When you look at it in terms of what's that going to do to the market cap of the business, I think everyone, as shareholders of the business, whether it's a private or public company, everyone who has equity in the business, in particular board members and executive leadership, are going to want to focus on driving the valuation of the business.
That's a good point, Andrew. So focus on not where the problem is and whose fault it is. In other words, CFOs need to focus on what company value this is going to drive.
Exactly. Think about the
Right.
value and the outcome that's going to come from this. And typically what we see, at least in our research and working with clients, what we see is the companies that have that concern, even when they do uncover extreme examples of revenue leakage, we have examples where it's been in excess of 10%. And it does create a whole, trigger a whole new set of activities in terms of the sales and customer support organization having to go out to customers and educate them about what's in a contract and what they haven't been paying for example. It's a tough exercise. But when the organization internally recognizes the net outcome of it, which is a big boost to the top line and the bottom line, it changes people's perspectives on it. And the other thing I would say is, again, thinking about it as a continuous process, not as a one-time process or one-time event. When you think of it that way, there's also ways, if you have that concern, that you can roll this over time so that it's not uncovering this giant hole, but rather continually improving one quarter after another.
And save some for the rainy day, as you sometimes call it, Andrew.
Exactly.
Changing gears a bit, there are occasions when we have heard, we have recently upgraded our systems. I have the best billing, CPQ, CLM, and many other systems that they might be investing on. I don't think there can be leakage. These are the exact words we have heard. We know these systems aren't built to detect revenue leakage. What's your recommendation for CFOs to do a dipstick to check where and how much their systems are leaking revenue? What metrics or benchmarks do you share to help them get that initial acknowledgement?
So if you think about reducing revenue leakage, it's similar to improving data quality. You would hear a similar kind of argument when people put in a new system and they put in a new, let's say, CRM system, new financials or ERP package, and they say, we just spent 6 to 12 months plus cleaning up all our data. Our data is now in perfect condition. The reality is, 6 months plus a day and your data is now starting to get dirty again. So unless you have a continuous filtration process, that one-time event on its own, implementing a new system is not going to be enough. That's kind of one of the one of the things to think about. The other thing is, as you know, when you look at quote to cash and monetization, it's not tied to any single system, right? There's quoting, there's contract management, there's financials and your GL and your ERP package, order management is involved, provisioning, customer support. There's a whole number, you know, we at even a high level think about it as 14 plus disparate systems that are involved. So yes, you may have replaced 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of those major systems. Have you replaced everything? And how many days since you've replaced it have gone by? So again, this is not a one-time event. It's putting in place a filtration process that ensures continuous improvement, not just this, you know, one-off thing.
Even if you get the systems, are every part of your process completely automated with the systems and the integrations between the systems that it's working flawlessly? It isn't.
That's right.
There will be some manual processes. Still, there is going to be leakage as a result. I was talking to someone today itself, and they were like, "Oh, my billing system is," but they were trying it, and they were saying, "Oh, my billing system doesn't have many issues. It looks good." It's not about the billing system. It's the end-to-end process.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how much manual work is being done just in billing? How much manual intervention and use of Excel is involved in revenue accounting?
Yeah.
So you can go across a number of systems, a number of areas, and there's going to be use of spreadsheets where you know there are errors. There's going to be manual intervention. So you're right, it's not tied to any single system.
In one of the instances, the CFO was excited about detecting revenue leakage, but there was no buy-in from the CIO. We never got the data to execute even a POC. What can CFOs do to build partnership with CIO and product teams to see the real issues without making them feel like someone is questioning their systems?
Yeah, again, it's a valid concern. What it points to is that just as the problem or the challenge of revenue leakage cuts across many systems, that it cuts across multiple functions. So it's not just in the domain of the CFO and finance, it's not just in the domain of the CIO. So if there's an opportunity, one, to build buy-in at a higher level, right, with a COO or CEO, or with the board, as you highlighted earlier, buy-in with the head of sales and the sales organization. You know, ultimately, it takes a village, and the encouragement, let's say, to take a look at this needs to come not just from any single source, but multiple executives who want to really lean in and improve the business for everyone.
Absolutely. It's not one vertical's issue. There are so many verticals involved in it and need to be enrolled in it. Might as well CIO who owns a lot of systems can champion the aspect of, hey, I'll provide you the capability to also make sure that all the operations around these systems are going smoothly too. And if something gets missed out.
That's right.
So it is a continuous battle that we see, and it'll take some time for the industry to evolve around this, but it's happening. The leakage is happening, industry is demanding it to get the rule of 40 to work. So thank you. This is so good. Final question. If a CFO could only do one thing this quarter to start addressing potential revenue leakage, what would you recommend? What's the highest impact, lowest effort first step that builds the confidence for a bigger initiative?
Build relationships, build a stronger relationship with the sales organization. Often finance is perceived as kind of the department of no relative to sales, and there's always some friction between finance and sales. The first thing to do would be build a bridge there. And in part of building that bridge is take a look at how contract processing, contract automation can be accelerated. And that's also kind of a pinch point where you often find where is there some of the leakage that takes place. It's from that initial sales contract going into a lot of the downstream systems. So you need that buy-in. Ultimately, it's going to help salespeople, sellers get paid out faster and more accurately. And that's going to engender trust and a stronger relationship to then be able to open up looking at kind of all of the other areas where revenue leakage tends to occur.
Andrew, pleasure talking to you. Thank you for all your wisdom here. Really appreciate it. Thanks.